for being here. We're here today, an illustrious group is gathered here today with me to celebrate the signing into law of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. President Biden signed that, better known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, last week. The bill makes historic investments in infrastructure, in jobs, and in an effort to address climate change. It's a $1.2 trillion bill, and California, like the other 49 states, will benefit greatly from this. Our area, Sonoma County, the 5th District, and the rest of California will benefit greatly as well. There's a little north of $25 billion in the bill for investment in highway improvements. There's about $10 billion for transit projects. There's over $4 billion in bridges. And I think anyone who's been following transportation issues knows that we're in a deep hurt in regard to bridge repair. There are so many bridges across the state and even in the district where bridge investment is sorely needed for safety reasons, if nothing else. I did an event like this up in Lake County yesterday, and we did it on a bridge. It was one that had just been finished. The county wanted to hold the press conference there to illustrate the importance of investing in these bridges. And they had a picture of the bridge that we were standing in front of that was taken just before it was redone. And they had highway marker signs in from both sides of the bridge, reducing it down to one lane, because it was a wooden structure bridge that was rotting from the outside in. And they had to keep traffic in the middle, or the rotted timbers would have collapsed into the creek. And I think that was a real good example of the situation we're in regard to bridges. There's also money in this bill to mitigate for wildfires. There's clean drinking water funding in here. Critically important funding for airports. And as I said, it's a step forward in dealing with climate change. There's money in here to establish electric vehicle charging stations, not only throughout our state, but across the country. There's funding for clean fuel buses, and all of this will give us a good start on what we need to do in regard to addressing climate change, the number one issue that is facing us as a people. And then critically, there's $100 million in this bill that will come to California for investment in broadband. And this is very important because this is the difference between access to health care and access to education that's not there for everybody right now. And as you saw with COVID, the Congress adopted legislation to address COVID. In it, there was legislation of mine that expanded telemedicine for individuals on Medicare to allow them to get their health care without having to go to a facility. It was largely popular. It helped a great deal. It kept people safe while they were getting their health care. But if you didn't have access to broadband, you didn't have the same access to health care as other people in the community. And the same thing was illustrated during the at-home learning, when kids were out of school and having to do distance learning. If your child didn't have access to broadband, they didn't get the same educational opportunities as folks who did. So this is an important provision that's in the bill. And this bill will create 2 million jobs per year, every year for 10 years. So this is, in fact, not only an investment in our communities, an investment in our country, but it grows jobs and it provides tremendous opportunities. I mentioned healthcare, education, but any entrepreneur or any business that relies on broadband, this is an important opportunity for them as well. And this all generates jobs, a tax base, and a bright economic future. There are a number of folks who are here today to talk about this bill. I'll introduce the first speaker. As the subsequent speakers come up, they can introduce the previous speaker can introduce the next speaker. We'll start with County Supervisor David Rabbit, who's also the chair of SMART. David?
First off, I want to thank the Congressman for his leadership on the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act. We are so fortunate in Sonoma County to have his representation and voice in Congress. This infrastructure investment is incredibly timely. I wear a few hats where these federal funds will greatly assist the community, connecting the county, connecting the Bay Area, California, and really the nation. I am the current chair of the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit, or SMART. I'm a member of the Golden Gate Bridge Highway Transportation District and their chair of finance, and I'm a commissioner of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and current chair of programming and allocations, chair of the Highway 37 4-County Policy Group, and I am chair of the State Association of Counties Housing, Land Use, and Transportation Committee. So that you can see, with all those hats and being in a position to really authorize some spending of dollars, I'm looking forward to the upcoming years. The Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act will have a tremendous impact on Sonoma County. $40 billion in state formula funds for highway, bridge, and transit investments in California over the next 5 years. A 42% increase in funding in fiscal year 2022. And with $66 billion dedicated to rail and $39 billion dedicated to transit, these investments will help SMART address transit needs in Sonoma and Marin counties by strengthening the capital investment grant program and increasing the opportunity for federal assistance. It will enable SMART to speed delivery of projects and help us complete the system as envisioned by the voters of Marin and Sonoma counties. And it may even allow SMART to take the next step in connecting to the Capital Corridor and points east. Lastly, this investment will help SMART deliver a completed pathway stretching from Larkspur in Marin County to the south to Cloverdale in the north and beyond. And again, I want to recognize and thank Congressman Thompson for his leadership in bringing this bill across the finish line. And with that, now I would like to introduce Vice Mayor Natalie Rogers of the City of Santa Rosa. Natalie?
Thank you. I would like to thank Congressman Mike Thompson for holding this press conference and for his strong support of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This is an important day for many of us here in the local office. Our constituents for years have asked and waited for support from the federal government. Today, we can confidently say help is on the way. Local communities are struggling to keep up with the growth and demands of and maintaining the basic services of our roads, especially during COVID and the pandemic, including just basic transportation. And with the budgets, having things that we know need to be approved but unable to approve due to unavailable funding. This really provides the funding that we need in order to not have to make those cuts that we know don't need to be made, and have the ability to really put money where we know the money needs to be put. California overall will receive nearly $3 billion over the next 5 years for crucial highway and bridge projects and repair, and it is so badly needed. This important legislation signed into law by President Biden delivers real results for Santa Rosa and the entire state. So again, I would just like to thank Congressman Mike Thompson for his leadership, and to tell Santa Rosa that, our relief is on the way, and thank you for being patient, and here it comes. And next is Gerard Geis, Mayor of Roanoke Park.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You know, leadership in my mind is about three qualities. The first one, wisdom, knowing the right thing to do. The second, character, going about it in the right way. And finally, what we're seeing here today with Congressman Thompson, effectiveness, getting it done. Mike has always been there for his constituents, and he's there today. In Roanoke Park, we have active development and 3 specific plans and 1 planned development. We are hopeful to break ground on the downtown next year. All of this requires infrastructure and assistance, and once again, Congressman Thompson is delivering that to his district. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the job that he's doing, and this is really a breath of fresh air over the last 4 years. So thank you to Congressman Thompson, and we're eager to get started in Roanoke Park. Thank you. I'd like to introduce John Moore, Mayor of Cotati.
I won't belabor the point. I do want to thank Congressman Thompson for his work in Washington and being able to bring forth a bipartisan bill when you have such petty partisanship back there. It's as Mayor Gudice indicated, it's a breath of fresh air, and I really look forward to the regional successes that we'll have with this program and moving forward, really understanding that this is going to be tremendous and a bright future for us. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Mayor Madeline Agramonte, the Mayor of Sonoma.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm so excited. As Cardi B would say, we got cash. I am so excited. 25.3 billion. You know, I can't help it. I have an unbelievable sense of humor. And I just want to say thank you to Congressman Mike Thompson. We go back a lot of years, and I'm just so pleased about this. You know, we have a bridge in Sonoma. It's called Watma, but it's bouncy, bouncy. We call it Watma. And the road is the same way. I would like to just say I have my fingers crossed. Highway 37. That's the thought I'd like to leave you with. Thank you so much. Thank you, Congressman Thompson. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Joe. I have permission not to pronounce his last name, Johannes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Johannes with Transportation and Public Works, Sonoma County. We'd like to thank Congressman Thompson. We've worked with him in the past. I know him to be a leader when it comes to infrastructure. Thank him for securing this infrastructure funding. This investment will make a big difference in our transportation system, from bridges to our local airport, and will provide jobs to our local businesses, strengthening our local economy. We're looking forward to work with all our stakeholders and deliver projects for the benefit of our community. Thank you, and now I will introduce Jeff Colin.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Colin, the city manager for the city of Santa Rosa. And I want to also thank Congressman Mike Thompson for his continued support of Santa Rosa and for his advocacy for our priorities. As you know, the pandemic has put an ongoing financial strain on many cities, including Santa Rosa. This legislation signed by President Biden gives our city a chance to address long-standing infrastructure needs to better serve our residents. The Infrastructure Investments and Job Act contains important infrastructure funding for local cities, including funding to strengthen our roadways and highways, along with a focus on combating climate change and critical funding for drinking water. Public transit operators are going to receive tremendous support with this new funding. This truly historic investment that will benefit all operators in Sonoma County. In total, at the national level, nearly $90 billion will go to public transit over the next 5 years, including $10 billion to California. One of the important efforts here locally in Santa Rosa is to address climate change. And it's our goal to transition to a zero-emission bus fleet. These funds can aid in our efforts to purchase and maintain that zero-emission bus fleet. Another aspect that's important to hear and beneficial to Santa Rosa is increasing the capability of electric vehicle charging stations. California will receive $384 million over the next 5 years to support a robust EV charging infrastructure network in the state. Zero-emission vehicles play an important role in our community response to climate change. Lastly, the infrastructure bill also touches on key items here for us in Santa Rosa, including wildfire prevention and resiliency. These grants will help us to maintain vegetation management, evacuation planning, and community resiliency improvements. Thank you, Congressman, for your hosting this press conference here in Santa Rosa, and thank you to our other colleagues in the county for attending today. It's my pleasure to introduce James Cameron, Chief Deputy for the Sonoma County Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Congressman Thompson, for the passing of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which aligns with the regional planning we've been doing at the Sonoma County Transportation Authority and Regional Climate Protection Authority to address safety, equity, and quality of life. The IIJA aligns with both state and regional funds, as well as our local quarter-cent sales tax for transportation known as Go Sonoma that is managed by the Sonoma County Transportation Authority. We're eager for the rollout of the new programs in the IIJA to benefit Sonoma County. For example, to address sea level rise and congestion on the Highway 37 corridor. One immediate impact of the IIJA on the Sonoma County Transportation Authority's work is the increased funding to existing programs. Our 2021 SCTA funding program expected federal funding levels to remain level. And with the increased funding, we are going to be able to program more funds to more projects within our funding program. An example, a few of those projects within Congressman Thompson's district include the Hearn Avenue interchange, which also includes bike and pedestrian connectivity to the smart multi-use path, Highway 116 improvements in Cotati, intersection improvements at Todd Road and Standish, as well as in the Pengrove area, and over in Sonoma at the Highway 121 and 8th Street intersection. Other projects include bus transit fleet electrification, as well as many complete street projects and the build out of our bicycle and pedestrian network. For example, the Highway 101 overcrossing for bicycle and pedestrians in Roner Park. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a fun fact here in Sonoma County. 29% of our trips are 2 miles or less. 60% of our trips are 5 miles or less. So complete street projects, as well as the build out of our bicycle and pedestrian network that focuses on making active users of our transportation network feel safe, will address both congestion and our climate goals. With that, I'm pleased to introduce from Gelati Construction, their Vice President of Estimating, Tom Smith.
Thank you, Congressman Mike Thompson. I know your number one priority in Congress is to create jobs and grow the economy. Since it began its operations in 1914, 107 years ago, Gelati Construction has been woven into the fabric of the Bay Area and Northern California. Our team members are currently count 450 strong. This number is comprised of 100 administrative personnel and 350 highly skilled and highly trained union workers. Our CEO, Dick Gelati, and President Brian Ongaro still practice the principle, do good work, be responsible, take care of the community and the people that work for you. The importance of this infrastructure bill cannot be overstated. Its impact on local projects is significant. Projects that otherwise would not have been built can now be built. These projects lead to job creation, which strengthens our community. This bill provides the opportunity to improve the safety and efficiencies of our local infrastructure, such as the upcoming Novato Narrows Highway 101 in Novato, taking up from 2 lanes to 3 lanes, northbound and southbound. The widening of Highway 101 through Petaluma that we happen to be currently working on. And thank you, Congressman Thompson, for championing this important bill and bringing these jobs to our community. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Peter Rumble, the City of Santa Rosa Metro Commerce.
Thank you very much, and I want to add my voice to the gratitude for Congressman Thompson. This package could not come at a better time. It is no secret that over the last 2 years our economy has taken a heck of a hit. And when I say the economy, I also mean individuals, families, people struggling to keep a roof over their head and their kids fed. In a bill like this, I want to be clear, in context, is one of the largest investments in our economy one of the largest investments in our people, one of the largest investments in our infrastructure in generations. This bill means that kids and families are going to be able to drink clean water, that seniors and individuals who are in our rural areas of our community will be able to access health care, that people will be able to have good paying construction jobs on our bridges, on our roads, and on our other critical infrastructure for years to come. And they'll be able to take care of their families and of themselves, where without this bill, it would have been much more difficult. So we can talk about individual projects, but I just want to put this in context and recognize the significant leadership and the significant impact that Congressman Thompson has had in passing this bill. And with that, I would like to introduce Mike Pickens from the Operating Engineers OE3.
Well, sticking with the theme of the afternoon, I too would like to thank Congressman Mike Thompson for all the hard work he's done back in D.C. along with his colleagues to get this much belabored bill or bipartisan package across the finish line. It's going to be a much needed shot in the arm for the country's infrastructure and California's especially. I represent the operating engineers. We represent thousands of construction workers and tradespersons throughout the state here. We work for companies like Gelati Construction, Granite Construction, Peter Kiewit and Sons, and it is a huge shot in the arm for members of our union and the building trades unions themselves to be able to go out there and earn a living for their families, and more importantly, for future generations of tradespersons to come up here and see that there is actual work in this industry. They can earn a good living, earn a fair wage, have medical benefits, have a retirement, and have some dignity in retirement with a pension, and be able to, pass this along to another generation. So we are truly excited to see the work that's going to be coming out. We're here, we're ready, and with that, I would like to reintroduce you to the man of the hour, Congressman Mike Thompson.
Well, thank you all very much. And Mike, I mentioned that 2 million jobs a year for 10 years. The majority of those will be union jobs, so you're spot on. Thank you all. Does anyone have any questions? Well, then I'll just say thank you to everyone. I see we got a visit by some of the motorcycle police from Santa Rosa Police Department. They decided to stick around to make sure Gerard and David behave themselves. So thank you guys, and thank you for being cops and for keeping our neighborhood safe. And thank you to all of you.